Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk to you about something that I'm very passionate about. I like to joke that LinkedIn is my part-time job because I do spend a lot of time on it, and I really believe in the value of using LinkedIn. And I'm happy to share some of the tips and the tricks that I have learned over time with my experience on LinkedIn that you can use in your careers and professional life as well. So I'm just going to change my view here. So there we go. I can see the screen. And as Lovepreet mentioned, please feel free to put your questions in the chat. They will be monitored, and then at the end of the presentation, we'll have some time to go over those and answer any questions that you have. And then we'll also, at some point, maybe after this, select a winner that can meet with me after and talk through some career materials, whatever it is that you're interested in. So first, I had a question for everyone who's here. If you could, in the chat, tell me if you have a LinkedIn profile. I'm really curious to know how many of you are on LinkedIn. Doesn't mean you're using it. It's just, yep, I got on there someday and I have something. So go in, type a yes or a no in that chat so I can see. All right, okay, I'm taking a peek. Good, good, a lot of people are. Fabulous, okay, great. Now my next question is, how many of you, let's say, visit LinkedIn on a weekly basis? How many of you logged in and take a look, check out what's going on? Again, just say yes or no. Are you using it? Okay. Great. All right. We see some. Okay. It's okay, Lovepreet. That's fine. I think I'll change your mind after this webinar. Good. Okay. It's good to see who's using it. Fabulous. Well, I think this is going to be really beneficial and provide you some tools that you can use to increase your presence and also to help with career development and future career opportunities. So without any further ado, let's get started. Again, my name's Lee Nyes and I operate Lee Nyes Career Coaching. I work with professionals who are looking to transition in careers. I help with a variety of different services for people, resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn as well, and I do coaching. And so I'm really excited to be here and share my passion about using LinkedIn. So let's just start from a basic level. Most of you have a profile, so you've been in, you're familiar with LinkedIn. And I just want to share that it is the world's largest professional network, and it is also a social network. So I think that is really important for people to know. I think there's a misconception that LinkedIn is just for looking for jobs, and it's totally not that. The ability to build your brand and build your career and find new career opportunities have really been enhanced by the development of LinkedIn over time. But it really got its start as a place for you to put up a profile, essentially your resume, your face online, and to use it for job searching. But as it's developed, it's had some really great features. And one of them is LinkedIn Learning, which you would have access to if you have a premium subscription. And we'll talk about, is there an advantage to having a subscription? What are those advantages? And is it worth it as well? Some of the other developments the platform has made is to organize events, audio events, live streaming events, groups, writing articles and newsletters. So really key components for people who are in the creative economy as well, or who are building their business on LinkedIn. There's a lot of capabilities that you can leverage as well. And then, as I mentioned, has different subscription types. And one of the most common is the premium subscription that can help you build your career. There's also sales and marketing components, and then a learning component as well. So don't underestimate the capabilities of LinkedIn. It's simply not a place to go to post your resume, to look for jobs, ton of other things that you can use it for. All right, just to share some statistics with you so you know what we're talking about when we're talking about LinkedIn. It has over 750 million members in 200 countries. It's probably closer to it could be closer to 800 now. United States and Europe have the largest presence. I think India is really making inroads on LinkedIn, and so you'll probably see India pop up as one of the top using countries for LinkedIn. But what's an interesting statistic, if you don't know, that 94% of recruiters use LinkedIn to look at candidates. So if you're a recruiter or a hiring manager, or do any type of hiring, the first thing you typically do after you get a resume is Google search someone. And what's going to pop up? Usually LinkedIn is near the top of that search function. And so recruiters are going to click on that link and they're going to go in and they're going to look at your profile. So it's really important that you have a profile that's representing your skills, representing your experience, presenting you in a professional way that's going to make you stand out as a candidate. It's got great jobs, millions and millions of jobs are on LinkedIn. You can use it to search jobs in many different industries. But here's some key stats about the users. 3% of active users are content creators. So what does that mean? They're posting more than 2 times per week, maybe 3 times, maybe 5 times a week. And I think when you go on that platform and you're reading through your news feed, scrolling through that news feed, it looks like everyone's doing it. The reality is it's a very small component of users that are actually being really active on that platform in terms of creating content. And we'll talk about the value of creating content in a little bit later. 40% of users access it on a daily basis. So I asked you how often that you use it, an average of 17 minutes per month. And some statistics here, who are the people? I think the statistics of college graduates are changing. We're seeing a lot more people who are building careers, who are taking alternative pathway to higher ed, and they're using LinkedIn to build their brand, build their business. And I think this is important for especially hiring managers or recruiters, or if you're looking for opportunities. LinkedIn has a very higher threshold for income. So especially if you're looking to build a business on LinkedIn, you're going to have kind of a higher annual income than you would just if you're looking at basic US statistics. So it is a very professional network and does have a higher income level threshold than some of the other platforms you might think of in the social realm. Okay, so let's get to it. One of the biggest things that is going to benefit you in your career is building your network. And maybe you have experienced this personally. I can tell you that my last 3 positions that I've had, and I haven't had a lot of positions in my career, have all been through networking and referrals. So I got my opportunity to interview for jobs, to talk about jobs through the network that I had built. And I see this consistently. There's statistics that anywhere between 40 to 70% of candidates who are successful in getting jobs have some sort of referral or connection in their network. So this is really important, and LinkedIn is a great place to build your network. The easiest thing you can do is you can go in and you can connect with people. If you go into your LinkedIn and the banner across the top, you'll see a network. Click on that tab. LinkedIn does a great job with their algorithm in identifying people that might want to connect with you. These are people who are in a similar industry as you, people who work for the same company as you, or people in related fields that have similar interests. And you can use that functionality to simply send a connection request to someone. Now, you can easily go in there and click the button and connect. I think you have up to 100 open connection requests that you can have before LinkedIn kind of cracks down on your account. But I don't think it's the best way to connect with people. You'll have a much better advantage if you can actually send a personalized message to someone on the platform and say, hey, I saw your profile, it looks interesting, or something about your past job experience is interesting, I'd like to connect with you. And then send that connection request. So you can visit someone's profile, click on connect, add a note. I highly recommend that. It's a much more genuine connection request. If you're attending events, maybe it's research symposiums, lectures, any type of event and you meet with someone, follow up with a connection request on LinkedIn and say, it was really nice to meet you. Let's stay connected. And LinkedIn is a good thing because, as you know, emails change, phone numbers change. Typically your LinkedIn page won't change. And so that's a good place to stay connected with people over time. Another piece is about posting content. This is something that I think a lot of people are hesitant to do. Certainly connections are easy to do. Content may not be so much, but there's a big advantage in doing that. It starts to build your thought leadership. It starts to show that you are an expert, or you're respected in your field, or you have knowledge that you want to share with people. And you have all got some specialized knowledge that would be very beneficial for those other millions and millions of users, or people who may be in your field who are not sharing something. So think about down the road, perhaps posting about the work that you're doing, the research you're doing, the studies that you're involved in. People are going to find that interesting, and then people will start gravitating towards your content. The way I got started, to be honest with you, is not jumping into content because I was a little nervous. What are people going to say? Are they going to like what I post? So I started commenting on people's posts. So it's less visible, but it still got me to practice my writing skills, got me interacting, engaged, and it also built my network as well. So adding comments to people's posts is a good way to test the waters, to kind of dip your toe in the water and see. And it's more than just, hey, great post, or I like that. Adding thoughtful comments and dialogues or questions will be really valuable to you as well. But if you're gung-ho and you want to try the content route, LinkedIn has a very particular and maybe somewhat finicky algorithm sometimes on how it curates the feed that you're going to see of posts. It's really starting to promote visual elements, video elements, crafting stories that people are going to really relate to. So those are some things that you can try if you're going down the content route as well. Engaging with your connections. Now, this is one thing that I'm guilty of. I have not done a great job over time in staying engaged with my connections, but I try to do that. Every once in a while, I'll see a post or a research study, or I'll come across something unique that I'll think, hey, I should really share this with this person. And so I really try to do a good job of sharing information and keeping in touch with my connections, because you never know when there might be an opportunity that you can connect with somebody. And so staying engaged, having conversations every once in a while, it's a great way to keep your network engaged in what you're doing. Finally, LinkedIn also has some groups that you can access. So there are groups for everything. There's career-related groups, there are agriculture-related groups, there are finance-related groups. You just need to search in that top bar on the left-hand side for a group that you might be interested in joining, and you can see how active they are, how many members the groups have. It's a really good place to engage with like-minded individuals as well. Okay, so what can you do to optimize your LinkedIn profile and start to build your brand? Now, what do I mean by a brand? Now, people aren't products, but people have images, they have reputations, they have values. All of those things are components of a brand. You can market yourself as anything, really. You can decide what you want your brand to be. And there's some very specific way you can do that. And LinkedIn is a great place to do that. The first thing is, if you notice, and totally, if you want to, you have another monitor, you want to open up your LinkedIn profile so we can kind of look at this while I'm talking about it. Take a look at what your URL is. When you first sign up for a LinkedIn account, you're given a LinkedIn URL that has some form of your name, and typically a combination of random letters and numbers. It's not the best way for people to remember who you are or to search for your link. And so you can actually, in the right-hand corner of your profile, click on an edit button and change that URL. I recommend that you do that. Either keep it to your name or keep it to something that's unique about what you do, but change that up so you have a very specific and clean, clear URL. Another thing you can do is write your headline statement. So if you'll see my picture here, underneath my picture, it says I'm a career transition coach helping educators transition to new careers. LinkedIn defaults your last professional experience job title in this field. And so if you don't do anything, that's what's going to pop up. So if you're senior researcher at University of Minnesota, that's what it's going to say. And that's what people are going to think about you when they click on your profile. They're going to say, okay, this is what this person is. Now, I do the career coaching as my 5 to 9. I do have a 9 to 5. I'm a learning and design professional for a financial services company, but that's not what you see here. What you see is what I do, because this is the brand that I want to use on my LinkedIn. So you can edit your headline statement to whatever you would like to project to the world. If you are looking for a job, it is a place where you could say seeking positions in. I recommend that people talk a little bit about their skills or the experiences that they've had. Whatever they are trying to project, this is a great place to do it because it's the first thing they see after they see your name. You can do all of this by editing your public profile. As soon as you click that, you'll see all the fields that you can change. Another great part of a LinkedIn profile that you can work on is your About section. That is the place where you can tell the world who you are, what you do, what you want to do, and how to contact you as well, if you'd like to include that. One thing I highly recommend is that you use first person narrative, I, instead of other pronouns, because when you're writing it in a third person, it sounds kind of strange. This is your real estate, your personal real estate. LinkedIn is that for you. And so write it as you would talking to somebody else. Here's who I am, here's what I do, include it in that section. There's some other great things that you can do on LinkedIn. You can add a list of up to 50 of your top skills. So especially if you're looking to transition to different fields, this is what I tell a lot of my clients. Start identifying what some of those skills are that you're going to need to transition into your next opportunity. Add those onto your profile and have people endorse your skills. That's how your skills kind of rise to the top. LinkedIn allows people to endorse skills, and the skills that are endorsed the most are the ones that are going to pop up to the top of your profile. So what's interesting is I worked in higher education for 15 years before I started career coaching. And once I started career coaching, I realized that the top 5 skills, there was not a single thing about careers in my skills. So that was a light bulb moment for me to say, hey, I've got to start representing some of the skills that I'm using in my career coaching industry. And so those have kind of shifted or transitioned over time. And they can always be added, removed, adjusted, endorsed. That's totally up to you. A good way for getting endorsements for skills, if you're interested, is endorse someone else and ask them to do that as a favor. I think that's a great way, and that happens all the time for the individuals that I'm working with. Also, you can request recommendations. So if you've applied for a job, or even if you've applied to an academic program, you typically need a reference, correct? Someone that's going to speak on behalf of your skills and abilities. You can do that right on your LinkedIn profile. It provides some great social proof to show, yeah, this person really is good at this. The caveat here is that they have to be someone that you know or you've worked with, and they have to have a LinkedIn profile as well. So that has been a sticking point for some people because they know someone who would be really great, but they're not on LinkedIn. So it has to be someone who's on the platform. And one good way to get recommendations, to send a recommendation to someone and ask for one in return. It's a great way. And also, so that you know, these can't just be posted without your permission. You do have to approve, or you can ask for an edit of a recommendation, because again, this is going on your personal page, your personal real estate. You're going to want to make sure it's an accurate reflection of what you want to see. You excuse me a minute, I'm going to grab some water. finally, a great way you can see from my page is adding connections. And the more connections, the more visibility you're going to get across the platform as well. LinkedIn is limited to 30,000 contacts. I do know some influencers that have reached that limit. It's rare to get to that height. So you can add as many as connections. It's 100 open connections a week. Use your network tab to see suggestions that LinkedIn provides, or you can search for people in your search bar. You can see first degree connections. So those are people you're connected to. Second degree connections are people who are connected to people that might be connected to others, and third and fourth connections. So there's a whole big layer. I encourage you to start with that networking tab and see who LinkedIn suggests you might want to connect with. So those are all great, easy things that you can do to really make your profile stand out on LinkedIn. So I want to show you one of my clients and give you an idea of the transformation that she made in a very short period of time. So Sonia had a profile photo that she had when she got on the platform. And so it was 10, 15 years old, wasn't really representative of who she was anymore. And she didn't have a profile banner. It's really in your real estate. If you think about selling a house, you want to have your sign out front. Your banner is your sign, and she had nothing there. So it was an older picture and nothing on her banner. So she wanted to move into project management. So what we did is I use Canva. If any of you are familiar with Canva, it's fabulous. And they have hundreds and hundreds of LinkedIn banner templates that you can use. So I saw one that was somewhat related to, industry, because she was from the financial services industry. We put her title and then we put her ideal job title underneath. So it would really attract people who might be in the project management sphere, because that's who she wanted to connect with. But keep in mind, she was in banking. So for her title, we said, let's project to the world where you want to work. Project management and operations leadership. Simple change. She had some of those skills in those fields, so we weren't lying about anything. It was just making a projection. And those few things made a big difference in the recruiters that were reaching out to her and the job opportunities that were open to her as well. Next, we went in. Her about paragraph in the past was simply all about banking. I work in a bank and I do these bank functions and I'm really good at this. We changed her about statement, made it very simple, talked about her skills, her experience, and where she wanted to move in the future. And also a statement that she welcomes people to chat with her. Sometimes I tell people to put their email in here. It just depends on if you're comfortable with that or not. But you want to talk about who you are, what you do, what your skills and experience are, and share that with anyone who's on the platform. And luckily, if you look at this, so I worked with Sonia in April to June. And in July, she got her project manager. So there's nothing better than I can share than a successful client story of someone who moved from a bank into a position that she's really excited about. And there were just some small tweaks on her profile. Now, I'm not saying her profile was what got her the job, but certainly the changes when the recruiter or hiring manager looked at her profile, they thought, yep, this is a person that can do that job. So that's what I want you to think about too as you're using this platform. So those of you who are looking for a full-time career or a new career or part-time career, or thinking down the road, maybe I'll do something different or new, LinkedIn is really great for career development. First and foremost, you can identify and network with professionals. You You know, it spans across boundaries, it spans across countries, across industries, across languages. You can you can meet with people and connect with people from around the world. You can find and apply for jobs. I always encourage people, if they're using LinkedIn to find jobs, make sure you're also connecting with the hiring manager or double checking on a company website. Sometimes there's some lag times between when those jobs postings are listed on LinkedIn and when they're taken down. So you want to make sure you're looking at the most up-to-date, accurate information. Many ways you can apply. LinkedIn has an easy apply function. What that does, if you'll see a little icon on job listings that say easy apply, it's a very short form, potentially, way that you can submit your information to the hiring manager. The companies who use the easy apply function can dictate how much information you need to include. It's somewhat contradictory. I have found some easy apply positions that still want a resume and cover letter attached, which in my mind isn't really easy apply. There are some that literally you just click submit and your profile information gets submitted to the recruiter. Is it effective? That's debatable, but it's worth a try. I've had clients who've got callbacks from easy apply opportunities. So it's just another function that LinkedIn provides that may be beneficial to you as well. Maybe you want to hire someone. It's a great function to look for candidates for a position. There is a component of LinkedIn that you can use to look to hire candidates as well. So it goes both ways. You can find jobs, you can hire people. Here's some other things for you to consider. LinkedIn has company pages, and company pages are a great way to look at a quick glance what opportunities are available in a company. So rather than searching individually for job opportunities, let's say you want to work for the University of Texas. You can look for the University of Texas page if they have a page, and there will be a link on that page to automatically look at what type of positions they have open. If you want to work for Target, for example, you can find Target's page and look at all of the opportunities in one spot. So company page are really valuable. You can also follow companies. So as they post new opportunities and information, you can look at the company page as well. The news feed is great. So the news feed is very simple to Facebook and Instagram if you use those two platforms. The more you engage with information on your LinkedIn feed, the more you're going to start to see similar things pop up on your feed. It's also very related to the connections that you have. So depending on who you're connecting with, you're going to see their posts. You're going to see posts that they comment on. You're going to see posts that they share or related posts to what they're looking at. So you can actually curate your feed somewhat depending on who you're connecting with and what you're engaging with on the platform. Internal messaging. So I mentioned earlier, there's a premium feature for LinkedIn and there's a basic. I have gone back and forth, and I still do to this day, on both platforms. Here's my takeaway for the biggest difference between LinkedIn Premium and the free subscription. Two of the biggest advantage. One, with Premium, you're allowed to contact anybody on the platform. So reaching out to them, messaging them through the platform. When you're on the free version, you are very limited to who you can contact. And so that can sometimes be a challenge. However, usually when you Google someone's name, you're going to find a bunch of information. You can probably track down their email address. So it just limits you on LinkedIn with networking with people, connecting with people if you don't have the premium subscription. The other advantage to having a premium subscription is the LinkedIn Learning modules. So LinkedIn has its own set of coursework that you can take advantage of. It's very extensive. I find that it's very good. It's very up to date. They're always adding new content, new courses in a variety of different fields: project management, accounting, instructional design, even content posting, video editing, mean, you name it, you have access to it if you have the premium subscription. Now, the last I checked, I think a premium subscription is $60 a month. So it is a big investment if you're thinking of using it. But if you're a job searcher, you want to reach out to people, you want to get some, you want to learn something and get a skill badge to put on your page, then it might be worth your investment. But it's not crucial to your success. And then we talked about some of the other functions. It has some really good free resources for interview prep and some practice materials as well. So it's a great place to help develop your career. So here are some things that you can do today that's really going to help you advance your career strategy to develop in your career. You can update your status and settings for job searching. So you have a tremendous ability to edit a lot of information in your profile. There is a setting that you can allow that says you're open to work. And I do encourage job seekers to use this. Sometimes people are reluctant to do it because they're afraid their employer might find out. And that's okay, because there is actually a sub question that says that you want to not disclose your new setting to your employer, or also publicly. So sometimes you'll see people have an open to work banner. They're out there, they're putting it out there. They haven't checked the box. They want everyone to know that they're looking for work. But there's another way that you can do it to still notify the recruiters behind the scene that you're looking for a job, but it's not going to be public to everybody. So do that. If you're interested, you want to see what sort of contacts you might get from your job search, open up that open to work status however you would like to. Joining LinkedIn groups is great. There's some really good career groups that I've been involved in that have some great advice, great resources, or other communities that may go offline that you can find out about through LinkedIn as well, through your news feed, through other connections. Continue to network with other professionals. So definitely add me if you would. I would love it today. Check out my LinkedIn page. I'd love to connect with you, and connect with your colleagues, connect with the everyone that worked on this webinar and put this webinar together. Peter, Lovepreet, Amber, make sure you're connecting with all of them as well in their profile. Find alumni from your school. So this is funny. I encourage a lot of people to connect with alumni because they might be working somewhere that you may have a connection with, but you'll also find that you'll start to be a mentor for other professionals, for newer professionals as well, who want to learn from you. I always love it when someone reaches out to me to ask me more about my experience in college. And I think it's a great way to give back to the community as well. So you can actually search on your networking tab for alumni from your school. It's a good way to narrow it down. Connect with recruiters. So recruiters live on LinkedIn sometimes. They get a lot of people reaching out to them. So my only caveat, if you're going to start to reach out to recruiters, is be genuine. Don't ever go to a recruiter and say, here, get me a job. I mean, recruiters work for a company. And so you just have to keep that in mind. They want to do the best work for the company. They're not representing job seekers. But if you can make a good connection with one in the field that you're interested, they will keep that in mind if they have openings, and they may reach out to you as well. Obviously, you can use it for jobs. And finally, building your brand. Decide, who is it that you want to project into the world? Who do you want to be? What do you want to be known for? You can do all of that through your LinkedIn. When I made my transition from higher ed and started doing this career coaching work, I was amazed at how many people reached out to me, or who will randomly reach out to me and say, hey, do you help with this? All from seeing what I'm projecting on the platform as well. It's a really powerful tool. So some things, remember we talked about the URL, get your unique URL. So if you haven't edited that, or you don't like what it looks like, you can edit that. Get a professional photo. Oh my goodness, I should have mentioned this earlier. People are not likely to engage with profiles that don't have a photo, and try to get an up-to-date photo. I might be guilty, mine's at least a year old, but get a well done photo. You can do it with your phone, get some good lighting. Canva is awesome. You can do a lot of editing in Canva for your photo and get that up there so the world can see you and people will be more apt to connect with you. Consider changing the title that you have on your page to what you want to do, what you do or what you want to do, rather than whatever title defaults into that headline stage as well. Revise your about sections. You know, how I learned to kind of write some of these is just by looking at some other examples. I found some great profiles out there and just started writing and practicing and writing my about section. Maybe you have a bio for something that you've done before. Pull that into your profile as well. Ask people for recommendations and skill endorsements. Define what you're going to use it for, and then add connections based on your goal statement. So here is a link for my LinkedIn page. I also have a website, so you can check out what I have there. And I have done a lot of talking, so it's a perfect time for us to disconnect and ask some questions. So thanks so much.
Great, thank you very much, Lee.
Oh my goodness, what happened to my screen?
And yes, we have a good amount of time to kind of have more interactive question answer session and comments. So we haven't received questions yet in the chat, but we can now, please, you can kind of unmute yourself or raise your hand through expression or type in now. So
Peter asked me a question. Maybe I can, while you're thinking of your questions, I can bring up what he asked me. One of the things, you know, I talked about a lot of do's, and I did talk a lot of don'ts. And you know, there's a misconception, and there's also a lot of debate about, is LinkedIn a social network? Is it a professional network? And I say, you know, it's transitioning and it's becoming more social professional. And what I mean, it's okay to share about your day, you know, if you have struggles or you want to, you know, you're doing something new or you've made a transition that hasn't quite worked out for you, something like that. That's totally appropriate to share. You start uploading your vacation photos from the Bahamas. It's kind of like, you know, is this really valuable? And that's kind of where I draw the line. I mean, I talk about going on vacation, or I had a vacation, but it's, you know, I'm not posting photos or things. So it is a place to be social, but it's not Facebook, it's not TikTok, it's not Instagram. It still has a purpose, and you have to decide what that purpose is for you. Some mistakes that you can make in a profile: not having a photo, we talked about that. Not having a banner image, prime real estate, incomplete and outdated information. As LinkedIn changes its functionality and its algorithm, it's going to do things to your profile that you may not be aware of. So if you're not checking it, I would say at least monthly, you should be. I'd even recommend weekly. I mean, sometimes it changes from day to day, just to make sure that everything is kind of where you want it to be and how you want it to look, because it certainly does change. So those are just some of the things that I would say don't do or be aware of.
We have one question in chat from Navjot. Navjot is a postdoc at University of Georgia, and she has a question about that you mentioned a resource for adding a banner on the LinkedIn page. So can you repeat that? I think I missed the name of the resource she's referring to.
Yes, Canva. So I put it in the chat. You can do a lot with Canva's free subscription. I purchased an upgrade to their professional, I think they call it. It's $12.99 a month. I think it's not very expensive. And the reason I did that is because of its photo editing capabilities. So you can do a lot more with your profile photo. And because I do this for clients, I do have to do a lot of editing work sometimes, even on my own photos. So I need to be able to have that capability when I'm working with photos in Canva. But it's, you know, just it's very basic platform will still allow you to make LinkedIn banners. It'll still allow you to upload photos, and you can put those into different frames and things for your LinkedIn page. LinkedIn has built-in banners that you can use. You can just click on it. I think they're better than nothing, but they don't do a great job of representing who you are or what you want to be. That's where Canva might be a good place for you to do that. And once you get a LinkedIn banner in Canva, you can resize it and use it for Facebook. You can use them for Instagram. I mean, there's a whole different variety of usages. So check out Canva.
Great. We have another question from Louisa. Is there a way to update the profile in different languages and on the network websites like ResearchGate?
Interesting. Yeah, good question. So yeah, your profile is going to be connected to all the information that you've set up when you've started your profile now. So you do have to choose on your one profile what language you're going to use. And I mean, another way around it, I've seen people get away with multiple profiles, but I don't recommend it because then it gets tricky to manage it. So you can have you could have technically different profiles for different languages. I would pick one and stick with it. You know, I operate on the English language side of things, so those are the profiles I've seen, but I've seen other profiles in other languages. I just think you have to say, what is your purpose for using it, and what language makes sense then for you to have your profile. I don't know the answer to your other question. That's a really good one. And I might just write it down and look into it. So thanks for asking the question.
I have one question. It's about the skill endorsement. I just don't, I kind of feel nervous like asking somebody else to endorse me for something. And like, since I guess we kind of trained in academic environment and your publications sort of speak for you, and you know, because the skills you have done, that's like kind of evidence that you have. But it's kind of, I don't know, like, and another thing is like how much people really, like recruiters like really value that thing, like how important it is, and how do you just get by the nervousness or like feeling like, oh, should I be asking somebody for this, or you know what I mean?
Sure. So I like to answer that by thinking about a website. And you know, when you look at a website, when you log on and to the internet and you've got the above the fold, that's what you focus on, right? And then you've got to scroll down to see the rest of it. I always say that top part, the above the fold, from your about section up, everything else is really the prime piece that you need to be worried about, be concerned about. With skills in particular, if you don't add any skills, nobody can endorse you for them. So you have to have skills added in order for people to endorse you. Do they mean a ton? I think if you're transitioning to different careers, it's important. Like I said, when I first started this transition from higher ed to career coaching, I did have someone say, well, I'd like to work with you, but it says nothing about careers in your skill set. So, you know, I think it depends on the situation that you are in. I don't think they're the be all end all, just like recommendations are. But if you have them, and if you have them out there, people can endorse you. Random people can endorse you, and they will. So that's up to you to decide how valuable you think you are. But if you have skills out there, be conscious of what's popping up on your profile so that you can see what's kind of coming to the top. And are those skills that you really want to be recognized for?
Okay, thanks.
That help? Yeah.
So I think Peter has a question now. Yeah.
Yeah, I just had like another similar question, or maybe an idea. Like, let's say like I took a class, a skills-based class where I learned how to use maybe a programming language like R or do statistics. If that professor is like on LinkedIn, would it maybe be a good idea to try to like connect with him and ask him like, hey, I did well in your class, like I did these projects, could you endorse me for like the work that I did in your class?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I think that's a great thing for any student to pursue that opportunity. It
Mhm.
just depends on your comfort level with asking. The nice thing about skill endorsements is they literally just need to click a button. So it's not like they're writing you a recommendation where they have to provide a bunch of information. They're just saying, "Yep, I agree they have a high level of skill in this area," and click the button. So yeah, I encourage you to give that a try if you're comfortable making that request.
Okay. So if you're sort of like not 100% comfortable with asking somebody for a recommendation, could you instead ask them like for like one step down from that, you could ask them to instead endorse you rather than like write a recommendation. Got
Yes, yeah, absolutely. You're going to want to save your recommendations obviously for your strongest connections, for the people you think will do the best job. And I actually in my with my clients, I give them prompts that they can use to ask, and I encourage people to even write out a recommendation that they could hand to them and say, here's an example of something that would be great. Because a lot of people don't really know what to write. And then you get them back and you think, oh, do I have to reject it and have them do it again? Just start from the beginning and give them some material off the platform that they could use when they're going in to make their recommendation. Yeah, great question.
Thank you.
Right. So do we have some more questions here? Please feel free to type in or unmute yourself, or raise your hand.
How many people are much more confident now in thinking that they can do some great things for LinkedIn? That's what I want to know. Do you feel like you have more information that will help you use the platform more effectively? I hope so. Let me know in the chat. Maybe some of you are so busy editing your profile now, you don't even have time to type in the chat. And that's okay, because that's my goal, that you'll get out there and you'll be motivated. Absolutely. Awesome. Great. Good. Great. I'm excited. Please do connect with me, and I'm happy to reach out to you and have a chat over chat as well. Yeah, definitely feel free to take any other questions you have offline here onto the platform, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I think we can do the lotteries now, Peter. What do you think? Well, maybe we will have some questions. We can wait for that, and maybe meanwhile we can do the lottery to select the participant.
There's another question.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, sure.
Mostly Dean
I
shows
was just
up to
thinking.
Ah.
Okay.
Ah,
So the question is, I noticed LinkedIn shows up to 10 skills. Would
mhm.
you recommend the skills shown to be more technical or social? It's from
Yeah.
Lisa.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Can I say a balance of both? you know, I think you could go either way here. And again, it also depends on the industry and the type of job as well that you might be applying for. But um, you definitely want to use it to show the technical components of what you've learned. I think for some positions with a balance. Um, yeah, unfortunately, as you get endorsed, however, whatever you get endorsed for is going to dictate what's being shown. So that's something that you have to be aware of. And you can actually, if you're seeing it's weighted much too in one area, you can actually proactively reach out to people in your network and say, hey, could you endorse me for leadership? Could you endorse me for SQL, SQL? And make that recommendation to kind of balance out what skills are being shown. Great question.
So we have another question from Vikash. So when you're applying for jobs, but you know with the different skill set the employers are asking for, we wish to have a range of skill sets enhanced for a particular employer. How do you think we can deal with the situation? Like different jobs, but you have one profile. So how do we
Yeah, if you're talking specifically about what skills are being shown, I mean, you can always see someone's additional skills, that there's a see more button, and you can see what all of those skills are that they've had in their profile. But I don't, I don't think recruiters spend a significant amount of time counting up how many endorsements you've had for specific skills. So that needs to come out of what you're putting in your experience section, what you're saying about each of the positions that you've had. It's showing in your about section, and it's even showing in your headline or your banner as well. And so if you're looking at a job that has a whole variety of skills and you know what those skills are, see if you can represent some of that in your about section, for example, or make sure those words are somehow reflected in the experience section. When I write resumes and cover letters, I work with whatever job descriptions people are interested in transitioning to, and pull out key phrases from those job descriptions and show that that this person has transferable skills that match what's in the job description. So it's kind of what you're doing when you're putting your profile together, is displaying some of what you want to see in the career that you're looking to move into.
Hi, Lee. This is Bakash here.
Hi.
I guess my question was more like, yeah, these days, when a job is posted, they would be asking for like a set of skills. They would emphasize on one skill more than the other. So, for example, if I'm applying or if I'm looking for a position, I wish to share my LinkedIn profile with them, but then I can't like constantly change it to represent what they're asking for. So
Yeah.
in that situation, I'm like, yeah, like I can do this and this, but as you said, we're looking at the cues, the keywords that they have on their position announcement page,
Yep.
and we're
Yeah.
trying to like match it. And I don't know,
Yeah.
are all the jobs that do have that apply now or quick apply button on LinkedIn have a recruiter that they go through, or like they're just passed through? These days they talk about having some softwares that are looking for the keywords in your
Yeah.
page to even like sort you into like a potential candidate. So my
Yep.
question was like, how do you deal? I can't constantly, because I some days I would be applying 2 jobs in one single day, and I can't share the same profile to both the employers at the same time.
Yep. Yep.
I wish LinkedIn had, like a range of resumes that I could share and pick and choose, and then just
Right.
share one that I would like for the employer that I'm looking forward to be working for.
Yeah, the reality is you have one profile, and that's the profile that's going to get shared. So it's not realistic to expect that you change it every time you're going to apply for a job. But LinkedIn is just one component of your career application or your career materials. You've got a resume, you've got a cover letter potentially if they're asking for it, where you can do some of those modifications and maybe highlight some of those skills that are particular to that position. Now, about the easy apply, a job won't always have a recruiter. You won't always see somebody, a listing of who's recruiting for the position. In that case, that information on the easy apply goes through the recruiting system and LinkedIn to someone who's managing that system. And you may not know who that is, but they will get a list. It's like an Excel format of everybody that's applied with their basic information that they've asked to capture in that easy apply link with your LinkedIn profile. So it's one way to get your information to be seen. I don't think it's the best way. Having that human connection is obviously really important, but you don't always know who it is who's on that back end of the easy apply. Does that help a little bit?
Yes, yes, and
Yes
it's
and no.
always kind of tough. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that did helps.
Okay.
All right, so we are almost on time, but 1 minute left. I have one question. I guess we can do the last question from Liza. Do you think the resume that is automatically created from LinkedIn is good to be used for application directly on industries' websites?
Yeah, that's a great question. So on LinkedIn, when you're searching for jobs, you can upload resumes onto your job searching platform. And if you apply through LinkedIn, you can select which resume you want to use. You can also say apply using my profile, or as you mentioned, they can download. It's essentially your profile is what they can download. Um, yeah, can you use that? I mean, you certainly could. I think the drawback to using what LinkedIn provides as a download is that um, if I can remember right, it's a PDF, so you can't necessarily edit it. And I encourage people to be very specific with their resumes and that they're, tweaking it for the job, the positions, and you can't necessarily do that when you're downloading it from your profile. So if you're happy with what they provide, then certainly by all means use it. But I would encourage you to consider using a customized resume for the positions you're applying for. Very good question. Awesome.
Great. So this is almost the time, 6 p.m. I would like to thank our speaker, Lee Ace, for a great presentation and answering the questions, and also willing to provide one free session to one lucky winner. So we can all thank her for that. And due to some technical difficulty, we can't reveal the name of the winner now, but we will email you. So all of you who was the lucky winner, we are just doing using an online lottery system. So okay, so that's unbiased process we have. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining today from US Wheat, Barley, and Scab Initiative, ScabNet team. I would like to thank you. Thank you, Peter and Amber, for organizing the event. And so thank you very much. And we look forward to see you all in the FHP forum, which is in December. So take care, everybody. Thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Thank you.